A pleasant day to each and everyone, especially to Dr. Pakulanang and to my beloved classmates. I am Christian Jude, and I will be discussing about the last topic under the syntax, which is the conjugation. Firstly, we need to define what is conjugation. So conjugation is the process by which verbs are inflected or modified to reflect various grammatical categories, including tense, aspect, mood, number, person, and gender. So these allow speakers to convey context information about the time, manner, and participants involved in an action. Among all the grammatical categories, let's focus on what tenses are. But before we will proceed to that, let's talk about morphosyntax or morphosyntactics. So what is this? So these refers to the area of linguistics which is the study of how morphological structures or the internal form of words such as conjugation, inflection, and derivation, and also the syntactic structures, which is the rules for words, order, and sentence formation, interact and influence one another. So it explores how the grammatical features of words such as tense, case, or agreement, and determine the possible word order and syntactic patterns within a sentence and how these patterns are structured across different languages. And now, let's talk about tenses. So what are tenses? So this tells the reader when the action of a verb takes place. And there are 4 different tenses. Number 1, simple tenses, continuous tenses, perfect tenses, and the perfect continuous. So tenses affects the structure of the sentence by determining where and how verbs appear in relation to the subject, auxiliary verbs, and other parts of the sentence. And now, let's discuss the 4 different tenses. And let's start with the simple tenses. So simple tenses are used for actions at a point in time, whether it is past, in the present, or in the future. So in its past simple form, so the structure should be subject plus verb. And take note that the verb must be in the past tense form. And what is its usage? So past simple in simple tenses describes an action that had happened and was completed at a specific time in the past. And here are some of the example sentences. I ate breakfast this morning. So the action of eating breakfast is completed and happened at a specific time in the past. So when was that? So the action was done this morning. In the present simple form, the structure should be subject plus verb, and verb must be on its base form but with an S for the third person singular. So its usage describes actions that are habitual, routine, general truths, or facts. It also describes something that happens regularly or is always true. And here is an example sentence. I eat breakfast every day. So this is a routine or action. Eating breakfast is a regular, habitual activity. In the future simple form, the structure should be subject plus will plus verb, and verb must be on its base form. So what is its usage? So it describes actions that will happen in the future. It's used for predictions, promises, or decisions made at the moment of speaking. So here's an example sentence. I will eat breakfast later. So the action of eating breakfast will occur in the future. And that's it for the simple tenses. And now, let's proceed for the second type of tense, which is the continuous or progressive tenses. So, continuous tenses describe actions that are ongoing or happening over a period of time. And these tenses focuses on the duration of the action. So, in its past continuous form, the structure should be subject plus the auxiliary verbs was or were and verb ing. So what is its usage? So this describes an action that was happening at a specific moment in the past. It emphasizes the actions during or the idea that was in the progress at a past time. So here's an example sentence. I was eating breakfast when my brother arrived. So the action of eating breakfast was in progress when something else happened in the past, which is the arrival of the brother. In its present continuous form, the structure should be subject plus the auxiliary verbs am, are, or is plus the verb ing. So its usage describes an action that is happening right now at the moment of speaking or a temporary situation. So here's an example sentence. I am eating breakfast right now. So the action of eating breakfast is happening at the current moment. In its future continuous form, the structure should be subject plus the auxiliary verb will be and the verb ing. So its usage describes an action that will be ongoing at a particular point in the future. It indicates that something will happen over a period of time. So here's an example sentence. I will be eating breakfast from 9 to 9:30. The action of eating breakfast will be ongoing during that specific time in the future. Now let's proceed for the third type of tense, which is the perfect tenses. Perfect tenses describe actions that were completed at or before a specific point in time. These tenses emphasizes completion relative to a point in the past, present, or future. In its past perfect form, the structure should be subject plus had plus past participle. Its usage describes an action that was completed before another action in the past. It emphasizes the order of past events. And here's an example sentence. I had already eaten breakfast when my brother arrived. The action of eating breakfast was completed before the brother's arrival. In its present perfect form, the structure should be subject plus have or has plus past participle. Its usage describes an action that was completed at a specified time in the past and has relevance to the present. It can also describe actions that started in the past and continue in the present. So here's an example sentence. I have already eaten breakfast. The action of eating breakfast was completed at some point in the past, but is still relevant now. Perhaps I am not hungry anymore. In its future perfect form, the structure should be subject plus will have plus past participle. Its usage describes an action that will be completed before a specific time in the future. Here's an example sentence. I will have already eaten breakfast by the time my brother arrives. So the action of eating breakfast will be completed before a future event, which is the brother's arrival. And now, let's talk about the last type of tense, which is perfect continuous tenses. So perfect continuous tenses describe actions that were ongoing up to or before a specific point in time, with an emphasis on the duration of the action. In its past perfect continuous form, the structure should be subject plus had been plus verb ing. Its usage describes an ongoing action that was happening before another action in the past. It also emphasizes the duration of the action. So here's an example sentence. I had been eating breakfast for 30 minutes when my brother arrived. So the action of eating breakfast was ongoing for a period of time before the brother had arrived. In its present perfect continuous form, the structure should be subject plus have or has been plus the verb ing. Its usage describes an action that has started in the past and is still ongoing or was recently completed, with an emphasis on the duration. And here's an example sentence. I have been eating breakfast for 30 minutes. So the action of eating breakfast started in the past and is still happening or just recently finished, with a focus on how long it's been happening. In its future perfect continuous form, the structure should be subject plus will have been plus the verb ing. Its usage describes an ongoing action that will be happening up to a specific point in the future, emphasizing the duration of the action. And here's an example sentence. I will have been eating my breakfast for 30 minutes by the time you arrive. So the action of eating breakfast will be ongoing up until a future point, with a focus on how long it will have been happening. And I guess that will be all for my reporting about conjugation and the different types of tenses. So thank you for listening, and if by any chance you have any questions or clarifications, feel free to approach me. Thank you and God bless.